What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and finally, after 3 years of being a YouTuber for this game, I've went ahead and decided to create a tier list for the Awakened and Tier 3 characters in the game. I have excluded all of the characters that are not Awakened, that can't be Awakened, that can't be Tier 3, because here's the truth of it when it comes to the game. All of the content in this game, characters really need to be Awakened. If you want to play the ultimate story modes, if you want to do well in the dispatch missions, if you want to play in World Boss Legend, you just need Tier 3s and Awakened characters. And all of our ABX metas are also Tier 3 and Awakened characters. So they just have a tremendous amount of value. So I decided to just make a tier list about them. So let's check that thing out. So this is my tier list for the characters, guys. And, I just have the colored purple and blue for the type they are. So if they're purple, they're universal. If they're blue, they're blast. Red, combat, and so on. You get the drift. Green, speed. And let me explain, how I'm ranking these characters. So I'm ranking these characters on a couple little things. Mainly how strong they are in PvE, but also their utility along with their power. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like you might have characters stronger than other characters, but if they don't have really any utility, that kind of lowers their value a little bit. But if they're super powerful and they are useful in multiple game modes, then their utility is going up. So therefore, I feel like they're, in the higher tiers. So Infinite God is definitely the highest tier, and then you have Omega God, average, below average, and then trash, which really sucks because some of my favorite characters are in the trash. But yeah, guys, we'll get to talking about that. So you'll also notice that I have the obelisk put on them. Now, generally, the way that I would do this is the first obelisk that I have set, that's the obelisk that I would run with the character. Now, like in Null's case, the rage is actually better for him in ABX, but you'll find that the CTP of energy, especially if you have a mighty CTP, is going to be pretty insane in World Boss Legend and World Boss. So I just put it first because I think a lot of players would prefer to use a CTP of energy, but Null is just insanely powerful, and that's really, by the way, guys, these characters, you could change the order around as far as who you think's the best and all that. But I just have Null at the top. He was the first World Boss Legend Tier 3, and he's just absolutely insane. And he's the only character with 5% Pierce. Then I have Mephisto. Mephisto ended up turning out to be an ABX meta. He's an absolute god, and he does play the best with a Judgment and Rage. A Rage, for ABX, and then a Judgment for World Boss Legend. The reason I have a Rage first is just because that's all I've been able to play with him with so far. But I bet anything that Judgment's going to be a lot better for him in World Boss Legend. But for ABX, maybe it's a toss-up. I'm not really sure. Now, Ghost Rider. Now, Ghost Rider is one of those characters that some people might argue with. They're probably going to look at Human Torch here, and they're going to look at Ghost Rider, and they're going to think, why is Ghost Rider ahead of Human Torch? Why is Ghost Rider an Infinite God? Because Human Torch, in all honesty, like as far as his damage, it's godly, right? It's just over the top ridiculous. It is. It really is crazy how strong he is. The problem with Human Torch is he doesn't have any utility. He's just a World Boss Legend killer. And I know I say just, it's freaking awesome, but that's what he is. Ghost Rider is squad battle massive power. ABX supreme. Just insane for World Boss Legend. In truth, in my opinion, I think Human Torch is really a better character than Ghost Rider. He just has better survivability. He's got the heals. He has insane damage, but he just doesn't have any utility. And that's why I put Ghost Rider in Infinite God. His utility is just through the roof. He just has more utility than any character up here. He's just nuts. Odin, and I haven't even mentioned the dispatch missions. Ghost Rider is absolutely insane. In fact, if you have Ghost Rider, White Fox, and Odin, you can go all the way up to 10-5 doing those dispatch missions. It's crazy how strong they are because Odin's getting that all debuff from White Fox leadership. Ghost Rider, the leadership applies to him because he has the leadership tag. His damage goes through the roof along with Odin's all defense down and Odin's raw damage. Plus, both of these characters are optimal with rages, and in Ghost Rider's case, a rage or a judgment. So you don't have to worry about timing procs. They're just insane in dispatch mission. I use them all the time. I do 8-3 clears with them. I just let it run on auto on 8-3 using that team. They're just nuts. Now, Moonstone, the only reason I put her in Infinite God is because she does have some utility. People still use her for ABX. And by the way, you see the little ABX beast right here? That's for all these characters. They're all going to be used in ABX. She still does get used in ABX. People are using Mephisto and Moonstone together to get a little bit extra score. So that's the only reason I put her in Infinite God. And I mean, we all know how strong she is. She's just ridiculous. And she's just amazing with a CTP of energy, which is something that I do kind of take into effect. Cable, godly, ABX, just ridiculous, super, super strong. Now we get into the Omega God, and this is where some people might have some arguments with me, but hear me out, guys. Human Torch, Shirag, Sentry. Sentry is a PvP meta, and he's insane in PvE, but I don't think he's Infinite God when it comes to PvE. I just don't. I don't think he's there. He is super freaking strong. Don't get me wrong. I got a Reforged CTP on him, and he's insane. But he doesn't have really much utility other than World Boss Legend, right? That's kind of his thing, except for PvP. But we'll get to talking a little bit more about PvP here in a little bit. Then we got Vision. And by the way, guys, I tested all the characters I have at tier 3. And as far as I did little damage comparisons between them. And this is kind of how it ended up working out. You know, it seemed like Iron Man was stronger than Mr. Fantastic, and I do have more energy attack than physical attack on my cards, but I did take that into account when I was doing my testing. And yeah, Vision is stronger than Iron Man, not by much, but he is a little bit stronger. And you see that I do have CTPs of energies for these characters. That's really the obelisk I think you should go with. Mr. Fantastic, if you're going to go for ABX, then the Rage is absolutely going to be better. It's going to be better, guys. Seriously, he's just so much easier to play, especially during the burn season when you're trying to cancel the Beast Roar, Beta Ray Bill. I mean, all these characters are World Boss Legend killers. Every one of them. Moon Knight is an ABX meta, but he's just not as strong as these characters, and that's why he's not an Infinite God. And really the same for Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, he's freaking strong, but he's just not there. And, you know, and by the way, you know, if they're an Omega God, that doesn't mean they're bad. That means they're insane characters. They're just... These are characters that I play with every day in World Boss Legend. Every day. I use them all the time. Except for Vision because I don't have him at tier 3. But I am working on that. I am working that. Then we go into the God level. And Luna, I mean, look. I know Luna's useful for Mephisto, but I don't know. I just don't think Luna's really that great for World Boss Legend. She's okay, but she just isn't that great. She's just really an ABX God. Right? And hence God. That's kind of her thing. And really it's the same with Scarlet. I got my Scarlet at tier 3. I have a Rage on her. I have her built fairly well. And yeah, her damage is decent. It's definitely respectful, but it's nothing like these characters here. They're just stronger than her when it comes to raw damage against World Boss Legend. And she unfortunately, I think for a lot of players, is still going to be just the leadership in World Boss Legend. I mean, she can get it done. I can do stage 9 clears with 1 support. With her with 11% Pierce, but that's not as good as these characters, I can tell you that. Mystique, mainly a support. You see, we got the support tag here, a little hug there. Mystique, major support, ABX, Doctor Strange, just, you know, a god, but just not over the top, right? Really great character, but just not over the top. And then you see the list, you know, as it goes down. You know, Loki, I mean, some people do use him for ABX. Medusa actually would have been higher on the list, but ever since Scarlet showed up, she actually dropped because of that, but she's still crazy strong. Bullseye, ABX meta, right? But not one of the strongest characters. And I might end up moving Bullseye around a little bit as far as where he belongs. I'm not really sure how strong the character is, in all honesty. Then you got Black Bolt Thor. Sue's actually, when she's awakened, is actually a little bit weaker than Gambit, so I did put her on this list. I did show this list to a lot of other players that have awakened Sue Storm, and they actually agreed with this. So let me know in the comments if you actually agree with this or not. Professor X, I don't have him at tier 3, so I'm not exactly sure where he belongs. But I think this is probably an appropriate spot. Then we got Gwenom. Some people might be using Gwenom for ABX. Maybe I should put a little icon there for her. And then we get into average. And these are just characters, even though Apocalypse, I mean, yeah, he's an ABX meta, but he's not as strong as Luna, okay? He's just not as strong. Even though Luna, these two are really in the same boat. Both of them are ABX metas, but that's pretty much all you're going to use them for. But Luna is better for World Boss Legend, even though she's not great. she's better than Apocalypse. And she at least has a type advantage against Mephisto, where Apocalypse has a type disadvantage. It hurts him quite a bit as far as his value. And then Cyclops, just mainly in support. I have a CTP of Insight on him. Magneto, really just ends up being a support. I mean, I am showing you guys like Rage and CTPs of Energy. I'm showing you the optimal obelisk to run with these characters. But really, in all reality, these days, like characters like Magneto, they're just really only used for a support. The Thing is mainly going to be a support. You see, I have a CTP of Insight for Johnny and Mr. Fantastic, or the Maker. Storm, mainly just going to be a support. Great damage, but just a support. And so on and so on. Captain Marvel, she would have originally been in God tier. Or actually, she'd just probably just been an average because she'd be in the same boat as Apocalypse. Doesn't do that really great against the World Boss Legend, but she is an average character. She's decent. Carnage, all these characters are really in the same boat. Namor at one point would have been an Omega God, but not anymore. He's really been devalued. When you get into the below average and trash characters, these are characters I wouldn't put any kind of CTP on. I wouldn't put a CTP on any of these characters unless you're using Dr. Octopus in ABX. I mean, if you're using Dr. Octopus in ABX, then I would probably think about it. So we'll put a little icon right here for him. There we go. Because I do use him, but Bullseye did replace him. A lot of people just use Bullseye instead of Dr. Octopus. Some people might still use him, but he really isn't that strong against World Boss Legend. And really the same goes for all these other characters. Now, I did go ahead and set up a short PvP list, and the list is short when it comes to PvP. These characters are the characters you're going to see the most in PvP. Sentry, I still think, is number one. I do think Luke Cage is above Silver Surfer and Jean Grey. Guys, my Luke Cage destroys Silver Surfers and Jean Greys all day, every day, with a CTP of Regeneration, not even Reforged. He does it over and over and over. And I do think Hulk is better than Dormammu, Daredevil, and Molecule Man. Daredevil's insane, but I do think Hulk is actually better. And then we got Black Widow and Jessica Jones, and I don't think anybody would argue that Black Widow's better than Jessica Jones in PvP. But I do think Sentry is definitely Infinite God when it comes to PvP. I think these characters are Omega God, and then these are gods. And then we have... And I haven't tested Mephisto. I'm sure I'm going to add him to this list, but it doesn't seem like people are really using him that much. I don't really see him in PvP, but I do think he belongs on here. So I'll probably eventually add him and put him on this list. And I'll probably put a little title here saying showing PvP. But let me know what you guys think about this tier list. And let me know if you'd like any other kind of label to put on them. Like I have the support. Maybe you'd want some kind of label like easy to play or proc friendly or something like that. If you guys would like for me to do something like that, I could definitely add that to this list. And remember, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion of the characters that I think are an Infinite God, an Omega God, and God. And you're welcome to disagree. And, put in the comments if you do disagree or whether or not you do agree with me. And I will put the link to this sheet in the description. And I would also ask you to join my Discord because it'll also be available in there. And I do stream on Twitch at Reset Sunday through Thursday. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.